Welcome to Just Stories. We hope you enjoy the story. The Flames of Change, The Mexican Revolution, by Just Stories. Chapter 1, The Roots of Revolution. Hey there. Welcome to The Flames of Change, The Mexican Revolution. In this chapter, we're going to explore the social, economic, and political conditions in Mexico leading up to the revolution. Understanding these factors is crucial to grasping the context and significance of the Mexican Revolution. Let's start by going back to the late 19th century. Mexico was in a period of rapid modernization, with foreign investment flooding into the country and infrastructure such as railways and telegraphs connecting it to the rest of the world. However, this modernization was not benefiting all Mexicans equally. The country was highly unequal, with a small elite owning most of the land and wealth, while the vast majority of Mexicans lived in poverty and worked as laborers. One of the key issues fueling the revolution was land reform. The hacienda system, in which large landowners controlled vast estates and relied on peons to work the land, was a deeply entrenched feature of Mexican society. Many Mexicans believed that the hacienda system was unjust and called for land to be distributed more fairly among the people. Another issue was political corruption. The regime of Porfirio Diaz, who ruled Mexico for over 30 years, was characterized by authoritarianism and repression. Diaz relied on a small group of supporters to maintain his grip on power, and he often used force to suppress dissent. Many Mexicans were frustrated with the lack of democratic freedoms and called for greater political representation and accountability. Foreign influence was also a factor. American and European investors had a strong presence in Mexico, particularly in the oil and mining industries. While these industries brought wealth and development to some parts of the country, they also exploited Mexican workers and resources for the benefit of foreign companies. Finally, cultural identity played a role in the revolution. Mexico had a rich and diverse history and culture, but many Mexicans felt that their traditions and values were under threat from foreign influence and modernization. Some revolutionaries saw the struggle for social and political change as a way to reclaim Mexican identity and assert national sovereignty. So, those were some of the key factors that contributed to the roots of the revolution. Land reform, political corruption, foreign influence, and cultural identity all played a role in shaping the social and political landscape of Mexico in the early 20th century. In the next chapter, we'll meet some of the revolutionary leaders who rose up to challenge the status quo and fight for a better future. Chapter 2, The Rise of the Revolutionary Leaders. Welcome back to the Flames of Change, the Mexican Revolution. In the previous chapter, we explored the social, economic, and political conditions in Mexico that led to the revolution. In this chapter, we're going to focus on the revolutionary leaders who rose up to challenge the status quo and fight for change. The revolution was led by a diverse group of individuals, each with their own ideologies, strategies, and goals. One of the most prominent figures was Francisco Madero, a wealthy landowner and intellectual who became the leader of the anti-Diaz movement. Madero called for democratic reforms and an end to political corruption, and his writings and speeches inspired many Mexicans to join the revolution. Another key figure was Emiliano Zapata, a peasant leader from the state of Morelos who championed the cause of land reform. Zapata and his followers, known as the Zapatistas, called for the return of land to the people and the dismantling of the hacienda system. Zapata is famous for his slogan, Tierra y Libertad, which became a rallying cry for many Mexicans. Pancho Villa was another important revolutionary leader, known for his military tactics and charisma. Villa was a former bandit who became a general in the Revolutionary Army and played a key role in many of the major battles of the revolution. Like Zapata, Villa was also committed to land reform and the redistribution of wealth in Mexico. Other notable revolutionary leaders included Venustiano Carranza, a lawyer and politician who became the first president of the new Mexican Republic after the revolution, and Alvaro Obregón, a general who later became president and oversaw many of the reforms of the post-revolutionary period. Each of these leaders had their own strengths and weaknesses, and their ideologies sometimes clashed. For example, Madero and Zapata had different visions for the future of Mexico, with Madero favoring a more moderate and gradual approach to change, while Zapata called for more radical and immediate action. However, they all shared a commitment to social and political change and a belief that the existing system was unjust and unsustainable. The revolutionary leaders were not just men either. Women also played important roles in the revolution, organizing strikes, providing medical care, and even fighting on the front lines. One notable female revolutionary was Carmen Cerdán, who helped organize an armed uprising against the Diaz regime in her hometown of Puebla. In conclusion, the revolutionary leaders of the Mexican Revolution were a diverse and dynamic group of individuals who shared a commitment to social and political change. They came from different backgrounds and had different ideologies, but they all played a crucial role in shaping the course of the revolution and laying the groundwork for a new Mexico. In the next chapter, we'll explore the major events and battles of the revolution and how the leaders' strategies and goals played out in practice. Chapter 3: The Course of the Revolution. Hello and welcome back to the Flames of Change, the Mexican Revolution. In the previous chapter, we learned about the revolutionary leaders who rose up to challenge the status quo and fight for change in Mexico. In this chapter, we're going to explore the major events and battles of the revolution and how the leaders' strategies and goals played out in practice. The Mexican Revolution began in 1910, when Francisco Madero called for an uprising against the regime of Porfirio Diaz. Madero's call to arms was successful, and he managed to gather a large following of revolutionary supporters. However, Diaz was not willing to give up power easily, and he used force to try to quell the rebellion. Despite facing significant challenges, the revolutionary forces continued to fight on. Emiliano Zapata and his Zapatistas launched a series of uprisings in southern Mexico, while Pancho Villa and his army fought in the north. The revolutionaries also gained support from some foreign powers, particularly the United States, which saw the overthrow of Diaz as an opportunity to expand its influence in Mexico. The course of the revolution was marked by a series of major events and battles, including the ousting of Diaz in 1911, the election of Madero as president, and the emergence of multiple revolutionary factions. However, internal divisions and disagreements among the revolutionary leaders led to a period of instability and conflict. In 1913, Madero was overthrown in a military coup led by General Victoriano Huerta. Huerta's regime was marked by repression and brutality, and many Mexicans rose up in rebellion against his rule. The most notable of these uprisings was led by Venustiano Carranza, who rallied a coalition of revolutionary forces against Huerta's government. The revolutionary forces finally succeeded in overthrowing Huerta in 1914, and Carranza became the new president of Mexico. However, the revolution was far from over. The revolutionary factions continued to fight among themselves, and there were a series of internal conflicts and power struggles. One of the most significant battles of the revolution was the Battle of Celaya, fought in 1915 between the forces of Carranza and Pancho Villa. The battle was a bloody and intense conflict, but in the end, Carranza emerged victorious. The revolution finally came to an end in 1920, when Álvaro Obregón led a successful campaign against the forces of Pancho Villa and Emiliano Zapata. Obregón became the new president of Mexico and oversaw the process of rebuilding and reform in the post-revolutionary period. In conclusion, the course of the Mexican Revolution was marked by a series of major events and battles, as well as internal divisions and conflicts among the revolutionary factions. Despite these challenges, the revolutionaries persisted in their fight for change, eventually succeeding in overthrowing the old regime and paving the way for a new Mexico. In the next chapter, we'll explore the impact of the revolution and how it shaped the future of Mexico. Chapter 4: The Impact of the Revolution. Welcome back to the Flames of Change, the Mexican Revolution. In the previous chapter, we explored the major events and battles of the revolution and how the leaders' strategies and goals played out in practice. In this chapter, we're going to examine the impact of the revolution and how it shaped the future of Mexico. The Mexican Revolution had a profound impact on Mexican society, politics, and culture. One of the most significant changes brought about by the revolution was land reform. The revolutionaries had called for the return of land to the people and the dismantling of the hacienda system, and after the revolution, the government implemented a series of policies to redistribute land and break up the large estates. This land reform had a major impact on the lives of Mexican peasants and laborers, who were able to gain access to land and resources that had previously been controlled by a small elite. The land reform also paved the way for the development of a more egalitarian society and economy. Another major impact of the revolution was the reform of labor laws. The revolutionaries had called for better wages, working conditions, and rights for workers, and the government implemented a series of policies to improve labor standards and protections. This helped to create a more equitable society and to improve the lives of Mexican workers. The revolution also had a significant impact on Mexican politics. The old regime had been characterized by authoritarianism and corruption, but after the revolution, Mexico became a more democratic country. The new government implemented policies to expand political representation and to increase transparency and accountability in government. In addition to these social and political changes, the revolution also had an impact on Mexican culture. The revolutionaries had sought to promote Mexican identity and culture, and after the revolution, there was a renewed interest in indigenous traditions and customs. This led to a flourishing of Mexican art, literature, and music, which became a source of national pride and identity. Despite these positive changes, however, the impact of the revolution was not entirely positive. The revolution had been a violent and traumatic event, and many Mexicans had suffered as a result. The internal conflicts and power struggles that followed the revolution also led to further instability and violence. Moreover, many of the revolutionary goals, such as the establishment of a more egalitarian society and the eradication of corruption, were only partially achieved. Mexico continued to face significant challenges in the decades following the revolution, including economic inequality, political corruption, and violence. In conclusion, the Mexican Revolution had a profound impact on Mexican society, politics, and culture. It brought about significant changes in land reform, labor laws, and political representation, and it helped to promote Mexican identity and culture. However, the revolution was also marked by violence and instability, and many of its goals were only partially achieved. In the next chapter, we'll explore the legacy of the revolution and how it continues to shape contemporary Mexican society and politics. Chapter 5: The Legacy of the Revolution. Hello and welcome back to the Flames of Change, the Mexican Revolution. In the previous chapter, we examined the impact of the revolution on Mexican society, politics, and culture. In this final chapter, we'll explore the legacy of the revolution and how it continues to shape contemporary Mexican society and politics. The Mexican Revolution was a watershed moment in Mexican history, and its legacy can be seen in a variety of areas. One of the most significant legacies of the revolution is its impact on Mexican identity and culture. The revolutionaries had sought to promote Mexican traditions and values, and this legacy has continued to shape Mexican identity and culture in the decades since the revolution. The revolution also had a significant impact on Mexican politics. The establishment of a more democratic government after the revolution paved the way for greater political representation and accountability. However, corruption and political violence have remained persistent challenges in Mexican politics, and many Mexicans still feel that their voices are not adequately represented in government. Another legacy of the revolution is its impact on labor rights and workers' rights. The revolutionaries had called for better wages, working conditions, and rights for workers, and this legacy has continued to shape Mexican labor laws and protections. However, economic inequality and exploitation of workers remain significant challenges in Mexican society. The legacy of the revolution can also be seen in Mexico's relationship with the United States. The revolution had been a response to foreign influence and exploitation, and this legacy has contributed to a long-standing tension between Mexico and the United States. In recent years, this tension has been exacerbated by issues such as immigration, trade, and border security. Despite the many challenges that Mexico continues to face, the legacy of the revolution remains a source of inspiration and pride for many Mexicans. The revolution was a powerful statement of Mexican independence and sovereignty, and it continues to symbolize the struggle for social and political change in Mexico and beyond. In conclusion, the legacy of the Mexican Revolution is a complex and multifaceted one, encompassing social, political, cultural, and economic aspects of Mexican society. While the revolution brought about significant changes and progress, it also faced many challenges and setbacks, and its legacy continues to shape Mexican society and politics in the present day. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the flames of change, the Mexican Revolution. Thank you for watching our story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so you don't miss out on our next video.